To week 3, we are going to be chatting all about calories and calorie cycling. So, this training is a little bit more calculation heavy, but I'm going to walk you through everything. I've linked the calculators directly in the notes for you so you can go and follow through really easily. And I'm going to walk you through an example that I actually have one of my private clients doing right now for her summer deficit, and that's how she's calorie cycling. So, let's start out with just understanding what are the calorie calculations that we need to understand, okay? I think one of the biggest mistakes in fitness and in like wanting to be leaner or wanting to lose weight is just not understanding where the energy goes in your body and how your body burns those calories and what you need to be eating to satisfy your personal calorie needs. So I think once we clear up all of this, life's going to make so much more sense for you, and it's going to make sense why you've been either like struggling to lose weight or maybe even struggling to like keep up breastfeeding supply or, perform well in the gym because you're just not eating enough. So first calculation we're going to learn is the basal metabolic rate. So this is like the BMR or the RMR, basal metabolic rate or resting metabolic rate. And this is simply based on age, gender, height, and weight, okay? So there's a calculator linked here, and this is based on the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation. So it's important to understand these equations, and yes, I'm an exercise science nerd. That was my field of study, but it's important to understand these different equations because the Mifflin-St. Jeor is not the most accurate, okay? So think about it this way. You and a friend could have the same age, the same gender, same height, same weight, but you can carry that weight very, very differently. So for example, 140 pounds on me could look very different than 140 pounds on maybe like a CrossFit athlete, okay? The way that you carry that weight matters. And muscle does not weigh more than fat, okay? A pound is a pound is a pound is a pound. That's okay. So get that out of your head. But what I want you to get in your head is that muscle takes up less space on the body than fat does. So that's why waist measurements are really important, neck measurements, hip measurements, all of those things are really important because we can see how you're carrying that weight. Is it muscle or is it fat? The reason this matters is because muscle is an energy demanding tissue, meaning the more muscle you have, the more calories your body needs at baseline, okay? The more fat mass you have, fat is not an energy demanding tissue. It's actually an estrogenic tissue. So the more fat mass you have, the less food your body is going to need to survive at a basic level, and the higher estrogen is going to be in your body. This matters because estrogen levels determine where fat is stored, okay? So track with me here. If you have a higher percentage of body fat, you already have higher amounts of estrogen in circulation. Okay, so this can lead to worse PMS symptoms. It can lead to most of your body fat being stored in breast tissue and right around the waist. Okay, and this has its own host of issues that people, tend to present with in private coaching. Okay, so little tangent there, but to make this basal metabolic rate calculation more accurate, I like to always add the body fat percentage, okay? And if you click on, again, this blue link here, you can estimate your body fat percentage by simply adding 4 measurements. So your neck, waist, and hip circumference, okay? Super simple, and that should not say, yes, okay, so height, neck, waist, and hip, all right? And you can just go ahead and type it into this calculator. It will spit out your body fat percentage. And then when you go into the next calculator, into that BMR calculator, you can add in the body fat percentage, okay? So you can go down here. This is in the settings. So you can hit the plus sign, settings. You can hit catch McCardle, and you can estimate that body fat percentage from the other calculator. Again, they're all linked in here, so make it nice and easy for you guys. And then that is going to give you a much more specific estimate of your basal metabolic rate, okay? It's going to be a lot closer, again, based on do you have more muscle tissue or do you have more fat tissue at that body weight, okay? All right, so once we have that BMR, we're going to keep in mind that is our basement, okay? So the BMR is our basement. That's how I like to think of it, and that's what I teach my private clients as well. We never want to diet below this number, okay? Because the basal metabolic rate is the bare minimum amount of calories we need to eat on a daily basis to keep functions of daily living going, okay? If you are consistently eating below this marker, this makes you a chronic dieter, and this downregulates your metabolism, so it slows down your metabolism and it slows down your thyroid hormones. It also slows down the release of your sex hormones, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, once we have that basal metabolic rate, we are going to take that number and we're going to multiply it by an activity factor, okay? So when we do that multiplication, we are finding the total daily energy expenditure. This is much closer to what our maintenance calories would be, okay? So the total daily energy expenditure is going to be basically roughly like 12% exercise, 28% non-exercise activity, so things like walking, pacing while you're on the phone, moving around like folding laundry or whatever other movements you do throughout the day that are not planned exercise. That actually makes up more of a calorie burn than your 1 hour workout a day, okay? Next is the thermic effect of food. This is 10%. It does require energy from your body to digest and process your food. And then again, we see that BMR, that basal metabolic rate, makes up 50% of the total daily energy expenditure. So this is why it's so freaking important to build muscle mass. Again, muscle mass is an energy demanding tissue, okay? There's actually tons of research studies based on women out of Bill Campbell's lab in South Florida. I follow that lab very closely, showing that even physique trained athletes, when they lose weight, okay, if they're able to hold on to muscle mass, they're able to maintain that higher basal metabolic rate. If they also lose that muscle mass, their BMR is going to drop, okay? Because again, it's based on weight, right? The heavier you are, the more calories you need to maintain that at a base level, okay? Alrighty, so we're going to take that activity level, and if you're not quite sure, I've given you 2 images here to help figure out where you fall in the activity factor. So light activity, I would say, is like light exercise, or maybe you're playing sports like 1 to 3 days a week, and then you're also getting 5 to 7K steps per day, okay? So then we would take that BMR number, we would multiply it by 1.375, and that is going to be your total daily energy expenditure, okay? You guys can look through the other ones and just kind of see there, but notice that it does say sedentary is less than 5K steps per day. So that's why everyone in this challenge has a step goal that is higher than 5K steps per day. So what the heck are maintenance calories? Maintenance calories are where you maintain your weight within 2 to 3 pound fluctuations throughout the week, okay? So what I like to do is I like to have clients go through, do all this math, and then compare what they're currently eating to what the calculator says they should be eating. Okay, then I also like to get at least 1 week of tracking data. So all of our food, bites, licks, taste, condiments, sauces, all of that tracked, and compare that to 1 week of weight data at least, okay? If we see trends in the scale going upwards, that means we are in a surplus, okay? So these are additional calories on top of your maintenance calories that, when eaten over time, will consistently lead to weight gain, okay? Now, if we go on the other side, a deficit, this is created by burning more calories than you take in, and this, again, over time, will lead to weight loss. So we keep protein high in a deficit to, again, preserve muscle mass, which will keep the basal metabolic rate high, because remember, that is 50% of your daily energy burn. So if we are losing muscle mass, we are losing a large amount of daily energy burn, okay? So Lastly, how do we calorie cycle and why does it help? So, calorie cycling is very simple. It's just we need to implement it the right way. Okay. So, all we need to do is know the calorie average you should be adhering to across a 7-day period. And then we just need to decide how many high and low days per week that you want to have. Okay. So, the more high days, the lower the low days are going to have to be, right? Because you still need to fit into that weekly average. So here is a client example. Okay, she just started her deficit and calorie cycle. So her weekly average for her calories needs to be 1650. Okay, and for protein, we need 140. So what I did is I just did some math. I just started plugging in numbers, and her low days are 1425 and her high days are 1950. This gives us an average of 1650. And the way that I found that is I just did 1650 times 7. So that weekly total calories needs to be 11,550. And then I just decided how I wanted to divide that over the days to give her 3 high days and 4 low days. Now she can schedule these wherever she wants. If there's one week that she wants to have all of her high days on the weekend, she can do that. She can go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all at 1950. That just means that Monday through Thursday, she's going to be eating at 1425. Okay. So that is one of the awesome things that we do inside of one-on-one coaching is I will build that all out for you. I will talk to you about it. I will guide you through it. You don't have to do any of the math, but I do like you guys to know and understand how to do the math because it's not a mystery. Okay. You can definitely figure it out on your own. And I think that's really empowering to know how to do it on your own. Why does calorie cycling help? It gives you some flexibility, okay? Especially if you're doing a deficit in the summer. Nobody wants to show up to the pool party or the barbecue and feel like they can't eat anything, right? And again, I'll teach you all this in one-on-one coaching, but that would be an example of when you would want to schedule your high day because you would have a lot more room in your calorie allotments to include those fun foods on your higher calorie days.